Hello everyone, how are you? I'm Ms. Shirin, science teacher. I'm going to teach you science section 2, which is from chapter 13. We are going to continue. Before we continue, I want to make a quick review from last lesson what we will talk about it. We'll talk about chemical reaction and what time chemical reaction does it occur. The most important sign which is telling us a chemical reaction take place, what was it? Which is the new substance is formed. It's very different from physically and chemically from the first substance. Okay? So today, inshallah, we are going to explain about chemical formula and the equation. Okay? So before we started, chemistry is like a language. How chemistry is like a language? For example, the first thing when we are going to school, we learn alphabet, right? After alphabet, we learn the letter of alphabet. We collect the alphabet, we make word, and after we put the word in the sentence. It's the same for chemistry. How is the same for chemistry? Okay. Symbol from the formula make question. For example, in chemistry, you have letter, right? But each element, each atom has own symbol. For example, H is a symbol for what? For hydrogen. And O is a symbol for what? For oxygen. Na is a symbol for what? For sodium, right? So formula, which means two atoms together, they form a compound, which is H2O. H2O is the formula of water, right? And CO2 is the formula of what? Carbon dioxide, okay? So together, for example, H2O plus O2, it became what? H2O, the product. Clear? Okay, let's go to chemical formula. What a chemical formula? What she needs to talk about chemical formula? Why? It's chemical formula is very important for chemical reaction. Why? To write down the reaction. By know how we can write down the reaction by chemical formula. What a chemical formula? Chemical formula is a shorthand way that using chemical substance as a number represent what? A substance. Okay. For example, all substances are formed about, we have how many elements? About 100 elements, okay? So how do you know this oxygen and this one is hydrogen, this one it is H2O? By what? By putting a symbol for each of them, okay? Each element has own chemical symbol. Each element, they have what? Own chemical symbol. As I mentioned it, H, it represents for what? Hydrogen. Symbol O represent for what? For oxygen. And C represent for carbon. The formula represent one molecule on the substance. For example, but the most important things here, look at here. We have what? Subscript. What is subscript? If you look at this formula, H2O. What a small, maybe you ask, what the numbers, Ms. Shirin? What the numbers is represent? Represent to what? And it has own name. What its name is it? It's subscript. What is subscript? It's a small number, rating. Where is rating? Rating where? Rating to the right of the chemical symbol. For example, this is oxygen, right? Where we can write the subscript only here or here? Of course not. You're gonna write, or for example, oxygen 2, right? So this number is called what? Subscript. So subscript is a number where it's writing below and the right of the chemical symbol. What telling us this number? Telling us what? Why it's present? Tell how many atoms of the element are present. How many what? Atom. For example, H2O. Telling us how many element? 2 atoms of hydrogen. How many oxygen? Only one. So by what we know how many oxygen and how many hydrogen? By subscript. Where it does right? Below on the right. By big number or right number? By write down in the small number. If there is no subscript, that means one atom. Does oxygen has any subscript? Of course not. That means what? That means it is one. Clear? How many hydrogen? 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen. Look at here, water. 2 hydrogen atom and 1 hydrogen oxygen. How do you know it's one? Because there is no, if there is no, that means it's one. A carbon dioxide, 1 carbon atom and 2 oxygen atom. O2, that means 2 oxygen atom. Glucose, which means 6 carbon and 12 hydrogen, 6 oxygen. Clear? It's about what? Chemical formula. Let's go to, yes, this slide which present in your book, the chemical formula of different substances. As I mentioned it before, it's about water. What is the number 2? Represent to what? Number 2. What it has name? The name is subscript, right? Represent to what? Represent or telling us how many atom is present in the formula. Okay, that means 2 hydrogen, 1 oxygen, and oxygen is the same. Oxygen is diatomic molecule. Each molecule has how many? 2 atoms. That means 2 atoms of oxygen bonded together to form oxygen. What about glucose? Glucose, it's a molecule that have 6 atoms of carbon and 12 atoms of what? Of hydrogen and 6 atoms of oxygen. Clear? I hope it be clear. Yes. Let's go to writing formula for covalent compound. Each one has own formula. We have anion compound and covalent compound. As we know, we previously learned about anion compound and covalent compound. Anion compound, which means between 2 metal and non-metal, okay? But covalent compound, which is between 2 non-metal. Clear? If you know the name of covalent compound, you often written a chemical formula that compound. Covalent compound, usually compound, as I mentioned, it is between what? 2 non-metal, okay? 2 non-metal, which is about 2 non-metal, which means negative charge, negative charge. And the name of covalent compound often using what? Prefix. Using what? Prefix. For writing the name of chemical compound, only we use what? Prefix. Clear? What the prefix indicated what? Indicate how many atoms in each element that present in the formula. Clear? Let's know how. Yes. For example, look at this is present in your book. We have carbon dioxide and the nitrogen monoxide. What the name is? This name telling us is chemical compound. Why? Because it depends on what prefix. CO2. We have CO2. What is CO2? Carbon dioxide, right? The absence of prefix indicated 1 carbon. Does have any prefix? No, only carbon. What about dia? The prefix da indicated what? 2 oxygen. Okay? 2 oxygen. Carbon dioxide. The di, it's what? Indicated that means 2 atoms of oxygen is present in the formula. We have many things, many numbers. Number 1 represent for what? Mono. That means it's 1 molecule, 1 atom is present in formula. 2 is di. 3, 4, tetra. And 5, penta, okay? 6, hexa, hepta, octa, till 10, which is deca. Look at it. We have what? The prefix di. Di represent what? That's meant 2, right? Look at it, that is 2. Monoxide, Monoxide represent for 1. Does oxygen has any numbers here? No. That means it's what? 1. Clear? So the prefix di indicated 2 nitrogen. How many nitrogen? 2 nitrogen atom. And prefix mono indicate only 1 oxygen. Clear? That's meant dinitrogen monoxide. That's meant 2 nitrogen and 1 oxygen is present in the formula. Clear? We should memorize this name. It's very important, especially in class 10, 11. Okay? Yes. I hope it's very clear. Yes. Let's go written formula for ion. As I mentioned before, the ion compound is between metal and non-metal. Let's know how writing. Depending on what? Depending on charge. Depending on the charge. For example, the name of metal, as I mentioned it, is between what? Metal and non-metal. The compound, it is companic ion. The right formula ion compound, make sure the compound that has compounds charge, it's what? 0. If you compare between ionic compound and covalent compound, to writing covalent compound formula, we depending on prefix. But for writing ionic compound, the formula of ionic compound depending on what? The charge. And the charge should be what? 0. What a charge? Well, how do you know a charge? For example, look at it. Okay. Yes. It mentioned two compound in your book. For example, NaCl. Okay. The charge of Na, what is it? +1. You should memorize this. In periodic table is present. Okay. And what about chlor? Has what? -1 or -1. Okay. What does mean the one answer? It means how the valence electron transfer or gain it. Okay. It's about the charge. A sodium ion has how many charge? Positive charge, right? And chlor ion has negative charge. Okay. So one sodium and ion, one chloride have an overall charge positive charge plus -1, it will be 0. It is 0, right? So formula ionic compound should be the charge is 0. Does it is 0 or not? Of course it is 0. Get it? What about magnesium chloride? Magnesium has a 2 charge. Where is the 2 charge, Miss Shirin? Be careful. It's right down in the periodic table. Try to memorize some, the popular one. Okay? Magnesium has 2 positive charge. Okay? And chloride, negative charge. Only 1 negative charge. How we collect it? 1 magnesium ion and 2 chloride ion. Look at it. 2. How many magnesium? 1, right? How many chlor? 2, right? -1. It will be 0. Clear? Where is come to the one? How many magnesium atom is present in the formula? Only 1. How many chlor is in the formula is present? 2. That means 2 and -1. It will be 0. Clear? This is what the written of ionic compound, which is depend on the charge. The charge which will be should be what? 0. Clear? Okay. Yes, let us go to, there's a self-check in your book. Tell what the kind of element make up ionic compound, as I mentioned, is between metal and non-metal. Ionic compound typically made of metal and non-metal. Okay? Yes. Let's go chemical equation. The important thing in chemistry. Chemical equation, how is writing down the chemical equation? What a chemical equation? It's a representation, a chemical reaction that what? Uses a symbol to show relationship between react and product. React and product. What the react and what the product? React is the substance or molecule participated in the chemical reaction. For example, if you remember when you H2O, how it's formed, the reaction between hydrogen and oxygen. It is reacted. And they form what? H2O, which is water. Product what? The substance that form in the chemical reaction. Look at this picture. I think it's important. Yes, I don't know if your teacher has told you or not. We have what? C. What does C? The symbol of what? C. The symbol of carbon, right? And O, the symbol of what? We learn in yellow. What is it? It is O, the symbol of oxygen. What the two represent, telling us what is the subscript, which means two oxygen. Okay? When they react, they form what? Carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide. The product is very, very different from the react, right? Physically and chemically. This part called what? This part all called what? React. Okay? This part, which is forming the new substance, is called what? Product. Products, okay? Which is the product is very different from the original molecule. What is it? The plus. The plus sign is separate the formula or two more atom reacted to another, okay? So, what is it? It is also called yield sign, separated the formula of the react from the formula product. Clear? Okay. Yes, let us go to be careful. When you write the chemical reaction, you should be very, very carefully to know how it's written, how it's writing. Why? Because if you make any mistake, simple mistake, what happens? You make a huge difference. For example, look at it. We have CO2, CO, and CO. Maybe you would say they are same. Of course not. CO2 is carbon dioxide. Okay? It is oldness, gases, and you exhale. Okay? When you yes. And CO is carbon monoxide. This gas is poisoned. So very careful when you write CO or CO2 when you write the chemical reaction. And CO, the first one is capital and the other one is small. Okay, and this one, it is about what? Cobalt. The cobalt is hard blue. This is metal. Okay, yes. Thank you for today. I hope it was clear for you. Thank you, dear student. Thank you for listening.